We're about to start our first panel. With the crisis faced on the global scale, it is more than just the race in deploying the latest technology. There is no better way to kick off the Digital X Data 2020 but by talking about the common future vision for all. Designing Society 5.0, a sustainable, inclusive, human-centered society powered by digital technologies where everyone has access to an enjoyable and vigorous life. And we're very humbled and very honored to have a very powerful panel that will grace the opening of our conference in sharing and discussing not just on Society 5.0, but also the new Malaysia 5.0 digital economy. The first guest speaker of today's opening power panel is the Honorable Yang Berbahagia Datuk Wira Datuk Haji Rais Hussin Mohamed Ariff, Chairman of Malaysia's Digital Economy Corporation, also known as MDEC. Our second guest panelist is Jeevan Rajoo, the country head of Tata Consultancy Services, which is a part of the Tata Group, India's largest multinational business group. The panel would not be complete without our very, very special guest, His Excellency Oka Hiroshi, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of Japan to Malaysia. And moderating the panel is Philip Golingai, who is news editor of Star Media Group, who has won 4 Malaysia Press Institute Journalism Awards. This is an absolutely rare opportunity to have such a powerful panel lined up on such a timely and important topic. All right, the panel is getting ready to go, so please stay tuned. We'll be back in just a short while.
Welcome to our exciting, awesome, powered discussion on Designing Society 5.0. Our first, I've been reading up on Society 5.0 and it looks like a great future. I feel like I'll be living in a science fiction movie. And our first speaker today will be Dr. Rais.
Thank you, Philip, for having me, fellow respected and, as they all say, powerful speakers. Let me talk a little bit about Society 5.0 and eventually a little bit on Malaysia 5.0. Malaysia 5.0 is still an evolving subject, and we are fine-tuning it to make sure that it captures everything that we need to capture. Society 5.0 has its origin from Japan. Back in 2016, Prime Minister Abe saw the issues that is being faced by Japan. The 3 main areas. One is obviously how to stimulate physical stimulus. That's a very important thing because the growth has been quite stagnating despite the quantitative easing. In the layman's term today is printing money efforts by Japan. So they were looking at how to come up with a holistic development process and progress, right? So strangely, the whole thing was thought out by the Japanese government and through some of their own committees and so on. And then they started pushing that to the public. We are now developing Society 5.0, where it's human-centered, it's not technology-centered. You need all the layers of technology will be supporting the well-being of the holistic well-being of the society. So that was the initial start. The industry, all the big guys, Sony, Toyota, and all the big Japanese industries picked it up from there, and they started developing their own track of what is Society 5.0 should be. And together later, they form a joint committee between the government and the industry. And presto, came about the Society 5.0, and the rest is history. Today, Society 5.0, the Japanese organically developed philosophy, is now been replicated across the globe. Germany have adopted that. Many other developing countries and even developed West have actually adopted that. America is still busy with Trump. So now coming back to what we call Malaysia, we were looking at what is going to be our next. We've had Vision 2020, we have Vision 2030. There's just too many vision. We start do not understanding which vision we should look at. So that's when the Japanese Society 5.0 came about, and we started looking at it, and we see, again, Malaysia is well positioned. We are designed by God to succeed, right? Only politicians screw it up, right? So for me, Malaysia is designed to succeed. That's why we attracted all the big powers. The Britishers came here. At one time, the communists attempted to come here. Sorry, sir. Even the Japanese came here. So everyone came here because Malaysia is in the criss-cross of all the trade. 18% of global maritime trade goes through the Straits of Malacca. We are very strategic position. Having said that, now we need to see what is the best for the many, for the people, not for the few, not for a handful of few. We need to see what is the best for the many. So these are the areas that we are continuously exploring. We have seen so many technology layers, AI, VR, you name it, it's there, right? But how can we use all this in the best interest of the nation and the people? That is the challenge. So this work, as in Japan, they said Kaizen, continuous improvement. So we are working on this now. MDEC will take a very big step in trying to lead this Malaysia 5.0, the details of which will be announced quite soon. Importantly, on the political space or the government space, we saw the National Digital Council and the FOIA Council is established. It has inter-ministry roles, inter-agency roles, intra-agency roles. This is a good start. But we need to also bring the industry players. Why? Because the industry players knows about what they're talking about normally. Sometimes the administration, they think that they know what they're talking about. But what we need to actually have is the industry players. People like Tata Group, people like, there are so many players who are so well versed in all this technological space and layers. And then let's do what the Japanese did successfully.
Thanks, Dr. Rais. Next will be Jeevan. Maybe you can briefly tell us what's the future like with Society 5.0.
From the Tata Group perspective, we've been in existence for 150 years. So 150 years of sustainability has been ingrained in the organization. And one of the secret sauce that was always in the group is two very strong things. One is giving back to the society that we serve. The society that we serve is paramount in what we do, number one. In all companies in Tata Group across the world, today under the Tata Group we have 600,000 people, and we have a market cap of about 150 billion US. And the ethos of it is all about giving back to the community. It is not, and we only exist because of the community. So that philosophy is very, very paramount, and that ethos is very paramount in all the groups that we operate in. So what it means by that, from an enterprise perspective, we believe if any organization were to put profit, people, and planet, that would be the secret sauce for Society 5.0. Now, we've started the revolution, the industrial revolution, the digital revolution right now. So the future revolution, which we predict will be a sustainable revolution, whereby it's not only purely about profits, but it's also about people and the planet. And that's going to be, I think, with this COVID pandemic, we've come to realize that, hey, whatever money you have, you can't even spend it. You can't even go outstation, or you can't even go overseas. It only means that we need to take pause in what we're doing as an organization, as a country, as a nation, as well as a society. What can we do for people who are less fortunate, number one, and how we can serve them better? There's a lot of people with a lot of less fortunate things around here. And the new way of living in the Society 5.0 would have to be a very inclusive society. Not purely driven by profit, it's very inclusive, whereby everyone we feel the pain of others around in our community. We feel the pain of other society who is less fortunate in our society. And then where we use technology to elevate their suffering, their poverty, and find ways where we can serve them better. Like I said, the philosophy in Tata Group is all about serving the community, and we believe in this philosophy of profit, people, and the planet.
Okay, thanks, Jeevan. Sounds like a great future that we have. Okay, next will be the Japan government is at the forefront of the Society 5.0. Maybe Your Excellency can explain what is Society 5.0. And I watched a video by the Japanese government, and I feel that it's awesome. I want to live in that world. So maybe you can explain what's the future like, and is it now?
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you for having me here. This very much the interesting sessions, particularly in the light of the experience we are having under the COVID-19. We are kind of getting used to the novel technologies of the teleconference, etc. This is a kind of the showing us a way to the Society 5.0. As my previous speakers, they explained that it was in 2016 that the government of Japan put forth the visions for the future of the human societies, where we expect that the physical, the space, and the cyberspace will be merged and fused, so that the each and every member of the society can depend and benefit from the progress of the digital technologies, and no person in the society will left behind, enjoying the benefits for the the solutions of the various social problems. Interestingly, in 2016, the World Economic Forums, if I remember correctly, again the put in place a theme of the Industry 4.0. So there are the commonality in industry, the concept of the Industry 4.0 and Society 5.0, in the sense that they are focusing on the enormous progress potential that the progress of the digital technology have on our societies. But the Industry 4.0 will focus on the more kind of the manufacturing side, how they can lead to the enhancing productivity on the making things side. But the Society 5.0 has put an emphasis on how the society, on the people can benefit from the technology developments. So this is the kind of the difference. And we are now the stage 4.0 in terms of societies, where we can enjoy the substantial benefit from the technology development, but still the data which are accumulated from the innovative technologies are not widely shared. So we are not fully enjoying the benefit from the technological developments. So the Society 5.0 again will focus on how each and every society of the people and society can benefit from the technological developments. For instance, the original intention of the Japan's in putting forth this idea is we are expecting a grave challenge of the declining populations. But how we define the gravity of the declining populations yet to achieve the economic progress. Again, we can mobilize technological development. For instance, one of the challenges for the declining population is how the people living in the remote and rural area can have an access to medical care. How the necessary daily commodity can be delivered if we cannot find bus drivers. So in order to fill the gap, for instance, the telemedicine is able to supply the very much detailed medical analysis for the people living in the remote areas. So living in the remote areas, or the absence of doctors in that particular areas, will not be regarded as a kind of handicap. And also providing kind of the autonomous driving bus, again, will be the living in the remote area, don't feel be left behind. So in this way of making use of the various types of the novice technologies, we can enjoy the benefit. But of course, in order for the visions to be achieved, again, government is kind of put in place a vision, but it is up to the business, up to the people to actually strive to achieve the visions, make it the reality. For instance, for business to operate, for instance, a drone delivery things is something which we have not envisioned in the past. So there is no regulations put in place which enables the drones to deliver things. For instance, autonomous bus driving. Again, nobody was thinking that the cars and the buses are driving without the drivers. So we have to put in place a certain kind of the regulatory frameworks, not to put in place additional frameworks, but make sure this kind of novel service, based on the technology, will be put to the use of the people. So now we are very much encouraging the business to come forward. So there's a good synergy being forged between the business and the government. And also we are not simply because looking at the self-narrow interest of the Japan, which is kind of facing the populations, the challenges, but this is the intention to serve the global communities, because the all the services, the benefits people can enjoy from the technology need to be shared. So, for instance, the even less developed countries can enjoy the benefit by simply making use. The people can have an access to internet or the novel services. So we are putting in place an effort so that the people in the world can have an easier access to the services provided by the digital technologies. We are working on it.
Okay. Follow-up question for you. At the moment, Japan is living in where now? Society 4.2, 4.3, 4.4. When are you going to be reaching society 5.0? Is it tomorrow or 10 years?
That's
or
a
when?
very challenging. It's a kind of the gradual change, but although the suddenly kind of the disruptive, the technological breakthrough will leap us forward, as we are witnessing, experiencing here under the COVID-19. But we are putting in place certain demonstration projects where the community can operate the bus services without drivers. And again, we are putting in place certain demonstrations projects where the people can benefit from the telemedicine. So we are gradually moving forward, but the hand in hand goes the government, the kind of the putting in place the visions, and also the business, new type of business needs to come forward to the deliver services. And also there has to be a people who can understand and who are not being controlled by this novice the technology, but it is up to the people who can decide to use, decide to benefit from these services. So the government and business and the individual peoples needs to be combined to move forward.
Okay, thanks. My next question is, what's the requirement for a country to achieve Society 5.0? I start with Dr. Rais, then Jeevan, then Your Excellency.
Society 5.0 is the destination.
Okay.
Journey has started. If the journey has not started, God, you are in a terrible situation. Journey has started. In the Malaysian context, our infrastructure is fairly good, regionally speaking. The wherewithals are there. The government policies are there. The willingness to accentuate this wherewithal towards the Society 5.0 is there. The very fact that the PM himself is chairing the National Digital and 4 Council is testimony to that importance that he places on this. And rightly so. Pandemic COVID-19 has shown that the fast adoption of 4IR into businesses. I mean, in the last few months, every one of us would have purchased something online, right? Something online. But that's a very basic need. Yesterday, we were told that the adoption of digitization and digitalization among the SME is only about 50%. That's a very poor figure, you know. And I've experienced many times when I speak to people, when I interact with people, and I ask them, so what do you do? This is what the business. What's your revenue? 280 million ringgit annually. Okay, good. So how do you sell? I used to have retail outlets. Now I had to close down because basically COVID-19, CMCO, MCO, whatever, all the alphabets that comes with it. So we had to close down. So we are going online completely. Good, online. Wow, then you have a digitalized. So tell me, what is your strategy? We are on this particular platform, Lazada. So some of them, for them, the digitalization means putting that on the platform, period. And I asked them, why do not you have, when you're on Lazada, for instance, you have to pay commissions to Lazada, you have to pay the PayPal and this, that, blah, blah, blah. So you will eat into your, just like the delivery guys, they take 30% of your food that you ordered. And the restaurants are crying, aloud. So don't you have your own? Oh, no, it'll be very expensive to hire people. I'm not very sure about this. So there is still, the adoption of digitalization is still not very good. And when you talk about digital inclusiveness and nice words, right? But how much we are doing? In the context of Malaysia, for instance, there are many, many farmers, fishermen, have their products, right? They work very hard and they look very thin, unlike me, right? They look very thin because they work very hard, right? They move and get things done under the sun, goes into the ocean, bring the fishes back, only for the middlemen to take advantage of everything. They continue to live in vicious cycle of poverty. How do we help them? So that's why I always talk about MDEC being a digital economy for the many, not for the few. It is not Kuala Lumpur or Damansara. It has to address all strata of the society. That's really talking about digital inclusiveness. We have issues of income inequality. We all realize income inequality is fast becoming a problem, not only in Malaysia, everywhere. I mean, even in India, it's a big issue, right? The Gini coefficient is not improving. So what do we need to do? That's why 4IR, the use of technology, as what our Excellency Ambassador said just now, use of technology to benefit the many. It has to be the many, it cannot be the few. And if you do not do that, the income inequality will go on becoming wider. So I think it is important for all of us. That's why I always tell my colleagues in MDEC, guys, if only you know your responsibility in driving this digital economy. And guess what? If you fail, what happens? You will become a digital colony of others. You can fight physical colony. When the Portuguese came to Malacca, we were still trying to fight. You can fight the economy colonialism. How? Protectionism, tariff, this and that. Digital colony? There's completely no protection. You know? Even if I ask now to the Malaysians, where do you buy? If you want to think something to buy, where do you go first? You go to Alibaba, you go to Lazada, you go to Shopee and all those kind of things. Even my 7-year-old son orders things on Lazada. Thank God he cannot do the credit card verification. Huh? The rest he does. And then when I go in, I see, hey, what is that? The card still pending. Then I look at that, it's Lego. 7-year-old. So what does that? I mean, we can have a good laugh in the morning, but what does that mean in the future? We will become a consumerist society. No more producing. So if you do not get your digital economy space right, if you do not move towards, sorry, I sound a little bit of Japanese, like Nihonji, if you do not move towards the Society 5.0 properly, please be prepared to be a colony of a digital power, meaning which you lose sovereignty. And this is a real thing. That's why day and night, some people ask me, hey boss, you are the chairman, why are you in the office every day? Even my colleagues started feeling the heat a little bit. I told them I'm not a curry puff chairman. I'm here with a passion to drive the digital economy for the many, for the country. And we must get it right. AI, artificial intelligence, for instance, is such a powerful tool. It can, with the right algorithm, can predict, can react, can respond, can suggest things. Let's take a car. When you drive a car, you have blind spots, right? Yes. With AI, with the sensors and everything, it will tell you, hey, you cannot go this side, you cannot go this side, something is coming, or at least there will be a trigger. These are very low-level AI. Imagine how the AI will work in a big way. And some will start asking, oh, then you are surrendering your life to the machines. I say, please don't watch too much of I'm Back, what we call Terminator. I think they get so confused by watching Hollywood movies. AI is basically based on input, and it acts based on the parameters that are already well defined. It doesn't have the ability of human being to self-taught. You know what I mean? So that's why I think I appeal to everyone, whoever is watching this, if you are the government servant or government or administration, or the ministers responsible for this, also my MDEC colleague, and also everyone in this space. Please, let's do something good for the country, for the nation, for the people, for the many, not for the few.
Thanks, Dr. Rais. I think soon your son will know your credit card CVC number, which is what, 909 or 904 or something. Okay, next will be Jeevan, talk about what's the requirement for a country to achieve Society 5.0.
I think with this pandemic, the world has become much more flatter. You can't say the Europeans are far more advanced than the Asia Pacific markets or the ASEAN markets. You can't say the Americans are far advanced compared to us. So the pandemic is actually an opportunity that has made the world much more flatter. It also is an opportunity for Malaysia to see what do we need to reset and reset fast. And I think Malaysia is well poised for that. Why? Because like Doctor said, we've got the digital infrastructure in place right now. Now, somehow we've got distracted by a lot of other things over the last couple of years. We now need to go back to see what the government, together with the enterprise, can serve the citizen better. And how we typically do that in TCS, in all the other countries that we operate, we typically work very closely with the government and see how we put the community and society first. What can we give them back? How do we move the needle in making their life much more easier, better? Then once we've done it in Malaysia, then we can talk about it in the region. But doing it is something we have to do now, because the pandemic is here. If level playing field is almost equal for every country, it is now the first mover advantage that Malaysia has right now in what we can accelerate better to Society 5.0. So what does a Society 5.0 means? It's just coupling all this technology to bring better way of living. And also we should start measuring something which we never measure, which is the happiness index. The happiness index of our community and society is equally important, because we tend to measure profit index, but we forget to measure about citizen happiness index. So if we can start measuring happiness index and how we can bring sustainable propositions to the larger, to the less fortunate in a community through means of digital or Society 5.0, then we're making strides. But Malaysia is well poised for it right now. We cannot ask for a better time to leapfrog right now. Why? Because every country is in the same boat. There's no model to learn from. Every country is affected by a pandemic. You can't say follow the European model or the American models or any model. We set the new benchmark. We have to be the pathfinder for it. And I think for the first time in history of human civilization, we are really poised to be the pathfinder in Society 5.0 in ASEAN.
Okay, thanks, Jeevan. Your Excellency, Ambassador, what's your thoughts on the requirement for a country to achieve Society 5.0?
Well, I think a couple of the things are needed to get the society afloat to the Society 5.0. One is firstly the connectivity infrastructure, and then because the Society 5.0 depends on the huge volumes of data, and so the internet connectivity, nationwide internet connectivity, is a kind of the necessary requirement. And I think that the government in Malaysia is moving toward the good directions, but now they are putting emphasis on the nationwide, the 4G networks. This is a kind of the good prerequisite for this society to move toward the 5.0. And we are also supporting by putting in place a submarine cable, the connections to Malaysia, then by the connecting submarine cable network with the local internet network. So we expect that the speed and capacity of the internet, the capability would be hugely enhanced. So this is one thing. And secondly, the data flow is again a vital ingredient for the Society 5.0. So let the data freely shared. But at the same time, of course, we are aware that the data flows needs to take care of the certain elements. For instance, what about the privacy? What about the security protection of the cyberspace? So perhaps we need to put in place a kind of global governance to make sure that the free flow of the data will be done, but at the same time, they put in place necessary kind of the safeguard measures to protect the privacy and etc. And thirdly, about the educations, empowering the human capacity is very much, again, vital for making use. Each and every society needs to make use of the benefits of the digital technologies. Nobody should not be left behind. So education is a very much crucial element. We place high confidence in the education level in Malaysia because while there are so many Japanese businesses already operating here, because they are watching the very much high quality of the Malaysians, the local talents. So we very much place full confidence in the education, the requirements. And fourthly, as I said, that this new service needs to be provided by the private businesses. So we have to put in place a certain enabling ecosystems which enables this new business will be providing services. The COVID-19, yes, well, this is a very much disruptive, the situation. So what stage you are in, that's not necessarily, decisive, when we discuss a way forward. For instance, in Cambodia, they, of course, if I'm allowed to say, the relatively less developed than Malaysia, as for the first time they introduced the digital currencies by the central bank. And then now the JICA, which is the kind of the assistance organization, is now helping the circulations of this digital currency by putting in place the application so that even the people living in the remote area have an access to these financial services. Again, this will kind of contribute to make sure the the inclusiveness will take place. Why not Malaysia? Malaysia is very much far advanced in terms of the physical infrastructure, the education level. So we very much hope to see the Malaysia leaping forward in terms of the moving toward the Society 5.0. And we recognize that there is a very much eagerly they're looking the Asian businesses. Again, putting in place certain digital-based services. So we are now promoting the alliance between the Japanese business and this kind of the Asian business, so that they can put in place a certain demonstration project, so that people can know the benefits accruing from the digital technologies. We have identified several demonstration projects, so that I hope that soon the actual achievement of the demonstration project will be known, so that will further propel our move to the Society 5.0.
Okay. Thanks, sir. Sir, the two panelists, they talk about how COVID-19 has accelerated the need for Society 5.0. Maybe you can just briefly explain, Your Excellency.
Oh, me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm a very much of the anacro type of persons. I never thought of myself using teleconference or virtual conference or being here in this kind of setting. But I'm forced to because of COVID-19. But once you start using the teleconferences, then it's pretty, convenient and useful. And then, well, well, I don't know what may unfold in the future about the COVID-19 situations, but this is quite convenient. We can put in place a certain participants from Japan or from other places into the web conferences. So I think although this COVID-19 is a very much worrying things, but at the same time, in terms of the disruptions which is sometimes needed for us to leap forward in terms of applying the digital technology, I think COVID-19 is kind of providing us, in a sense, the good opportunities to move forward.
Rais, will you prefer this kind of setup or a real setup where there's a live audience? You look like a person who thrives with live audience, not really in a digital audience. So, yeah.
You see, whether live or not, the most important thing is the messaging. The narratives must be right. Unprecedented times requires unprecedented measures. It cannot be precedented. So I've been on this kind of program many times the last few months, and explaining what we need to do, what we must do. If we fail to do, we'll end up becoming a digital colony. I think you are right. We are talking about the use of data for the greater good of the people. I think Society 5.0 is our destination. We must embrace it. 4IR is already there. I mean, if you are not there, then you have a big problem. Talking about happiness index, I also have a different cap. I do lead a think tank in Malaysia, and we measure national worry index. Essentially, it's the reverse of the happiness index. So when we look at the national worry index, particularly the last 3 quarters, it has gone up because of so many uncertainties, this and that. But having said that, I always say that unprecedented times, you cannot solve the problem with precedented ways. You must think out of the box. Bringing these farmers, bringing these fishermen into the platform. This is something that we must do today. I remember I visited one farming area in Cameron Highland, and they brought me. I was in my car, then I parked the car somewhere, then I got into a Pajero which has no registration number, and then it went up the hill, and the car was skidding left, right, because it's quite wet, and the roads are like basically jungle road, and I was holding my heart outside my body because there's a deep ravine left, right, center, and then they asked me to pick up some vegetables there, and then he came down again. This time they don't use the brake to control, they use the handbrake and the gear to control. Again, this time my kidney was also outside my body. And then we reached, then I said, boss, tell me the purpose of you bringing me here. I can always get these vegetables everywhere. He said, boss, we just need 2 things from the government. We don't need their money. What we need is, please help us with the infrastructure. The simple, that you put the stone so that it'll be better traction. Number 2, please address the supply chain. Because once we bring down the vegetable risking our life, our Selayang mafias, they come here, Selayang wholesale mafia come here, they will determine the price according to whims and fancy. If it's 5 ringgit per kilo, say for chili, they'll just say, today I want to give you 1 ringgit. I have no, and then the farmers, remember, they work hard. They take money from people, they loan money, and at the end of the day, they succumb to these kind of things. So I think digitization and digitalization, creating the supply chain for them will help a lot. So when you talk about equitable, just society, digital inclusiveness, very nice words. Cannot we make it happen? This is where MDEC has to play a role. I always tell the people in MDEC, guys, you are here for a purpose, not just to eat curry puff and coffee. You are here for a purpose. The purpose is to better serve the people, so the people's life will be improved. So we are very committed now to drive the Society 5.0, and we will engage with anyone, everyone, from the government to non-governmental organization to industry. My office is open all the time. I'm also there on Saturdays. So we have to. If we don't, then be prepared to go back to Kunta Kinte years, where we lose our sovereignty and we'll become slaves.
Okay. Thanks, Dr. Rais. You mentioned about basic infrastructure. So my next question for all 3 panelists is that, will the world be divided into between countries that has already achieved Society 5.0 and country that is still struggling with basic infrastructure? Start with Jeevan.
I think the world will see a huge paradigm shift. A paradigm shift in future in the next 15 to 20 years. We know by now what happens in China impacts Malaysia, impacts Europe, impacts America. So we can't forcibly in the future say what I do in my country will have no impact to the global society. The borders have come down significantly right now. What we do in Malaysia, what America does, what Europe does, what Japan does, has huge impact to the global society. And I think we as Malaysians, we need to start thinking as global citizens. No more Malaysian citizens, but global citizens. What do we do for sustainability from a global citizen perspective? What are we doing from climate change perspective? What are we doing for the poverty people in the country? So what we do in each country will have a global impact. We're no more staying in an island by itself. That, I think the pandemic has made it very clear to all of us, to all leaders of the world, United Nations. The pandemic has made it very clear that you live in a global society. Whatever I do has an impact on you and to other countries, number one. Number two, you will see a paradigm shift about organizations and company moving more to sustainable economics. What do you mean by sustainable economics? Like Society 5.0, very inclusive of the poor people or the down-stricken people. You'll be looking into a lot of climate-based solutions coming out of it. Now, you're also going to see point 3, people are just not going to work for profit. The new model of society, the youngsters today don't want to work 9 to 5. The youngsters today are looking for a sense of purpose. What does this organization stand for? What is the purpose of this organization? What are we doing for the community at large? So you're going to see a new trend of people coming into society right now. And the 9 to 5 working and all of that will probably get rehashed. They'll ask you, is this company for profit or is this company for people and planet? These are the questions that the youngsters are going to start asking. And we're going to get ourselves prepared for it. And like I said, Malaysia as well as TCS have been investing a lot in Malaysia because we believe Malaysia is well poised for all of this. And we truly believe that we can move the needle for the citizens here, not only for Malaysia, but also make this into a beacon house for the region. We should challenge ourselves, can we be the beacon house for the region? And the problem is, time is running out for us.
Okay.
I think with the outgoing President Trump, multilateralism was dead because it was always unilateralism, America first, and all those mumbo jumbo. With the new, the President-elect Biden, he has promised to restore multilateralism. So United Nations championed its SDGs, Societal Development Goals, for many, many years. Under outgoing President Trump, that is dead. So now, hopefully, with Joe Biden in, hopefully this thing will be restored, number one. Number two, as far as interconnectedness, interdependence, I think Jeevan clearly put it, right? With not only just pandemic, even before that, we already see pandemic just fast-tracked it, accelerated it. And we have no choice to embrace it, to get it done. As he put it again, Malaysia is very well poised. What do we not have? We have infrastructure, we have talented people. Some of the MDEC guys, if you come to the office, they are amazing guys. There's one guy in the field of agro-tech, for instance. When he speaks, it's not him talking. It's the chili is talking. It's the pineapple that is talking. It is that shrimp start dancing. So these are the passionate people, young people, and I believe in young talents. Although age is a state of mind, I consider myself always as young. But the important thing is that I honestly believe in young talent. They are very passionate. As he put again, things have changed. It's no longer the old past. You cannot use mid-80s solution for 2020, yes. 2021 problems.
Yes.
Things have changed remarkably. And if you don't be part of the change, you will be changed.
Yes.
So that is the important thing. And again, I'm blessed in MDEC that I have amazing talents among the junior and the middle and also the seniors that can propel. I'll just quote one minister, Hairi Jamaluddin. He did say that we've lost 20 years in the digital economy space. We had 25 years ahead, but we lost 20 years because at one time we were just focusing on project management and event management. We gave goodie bags and we smile. Politicians take photos. We are so happy. But how does this impact on the people on ground?
Yeah.
That we couldn't care less at that point of time. Now MDEC will have reinvented. We've talked about reinventing MDEC, and we are going towards the Society 5.0, which we call Malaysia 5.0. It will be contextualized in the Malaysian context. But yes, if you don't do it, be prepared to be slaves.
Okay. Thanks, Dr. Rais, Your Excellency Ambassador. We got less than 2 minutes. Maybe, yeah, just less than 2 minutes.
Okay. The human-centered the society is kind of the central goal of the Society 5.0. But the human-centered society need not be within the single country context, but the global context. The interesting statistics we have is that now in Africa, 40% of the people have an access to internet. And even among the 20% of the poor strata of the African people, still 7 out of 10 people have an access to or the mobile phones or smartphones. And in Kenya, already or services are being put in place so that the people who don't have a bank account are able to use the mobile phone-based these services to have an access to financial services. In Rwanda, again, the drone, delivering kind of the blood for transfusions or necessary commodities. So I think that we are in a very good start lines to move forward. And I talked that briefly about the Cambodian case. And so we are in a kind of the situations to move forward by the government, the policies, the business efforts, and also the people's awareness. So we are very much optimistic about given the very much favorable the environment Malaysia is in.
Okay, thank you very much. We got 30 seconds more. I'll wrap up everything. Okay, what I learned today is we shouldn't be afraid of Society 5.0, and I shouldn't be watching Terminator because it seems to give too much. It seems to give a different perspective to artificial intelligence. And with that, thank you very much for your insightful
Thank you, Philip.
thoughts. Thanks.
Thank you, Philip.
Yep.
Thank you, Datuk.
Bye bye, everybody.